A brand new school year and a brand new set of rules. Recently, Freeport Senior High School has seen a new dress code, stricter phone policy, and an entirely new mandatory class advisory. With these new rules, there is a major question that needs to be answered. How do students and teachers feel about these changes? First, we have our students.
Have a great day. And now I'm here with
Noah Schiffman.
So Noah, what are your thoughts on the dress code?
I think the dress code being enforced more this year than it has been is kind of idiotic and stupid. So I think the dress code has always been something that is more sexually driven towards females. I think it is targeting them in the way they dress and how they express themselves. And in some instances, yes, you shouldn't be showing all the way up here or everything out, but there is a certain point where it's hurting the individuality of students and is hurting the way that people are seen in the school. And it's just interesting how we can go several years without it being enforced, and that's not through the school district, that's through teachers and administration and stuff like that, where yes, the higher ups are saying you need to enforce this, but at least have it be consistent of anything.
And I would also like to ask you, what are your thoughts on the phone policy?
I think the phone policy was always kind of needed, but I think it could have gone about in a different way. I think that the boxes were a waste of money, and the school could have used it to fund something else, when instead we're spending however much on these metal containers that lock rather than just making students put them in their bags, which I understand students don't listen to that, they don't follow that, but at that point then it should just be an instant write-up or discipline act. Like, there's no reason to go out and spend hundreds of dollars on a box that I've personally have not seen a teacher use yet this year.
And I would also like to ask you, what are your thoughts on advisory, especially being a senior?
I think advisory is pointless. I think that the 30 minutes taken out of the rest of our day for other classes put into something where students don't listen, they don't pay attention, they don't care for, is stupid. Advisory was originally a plan to keep AVID in the schools. AVID is a class you can take. If you didn't sign up for the class, why are you enforcing other students to pay attention and to do things for AVID? I think that it could have gone to like a study hall, which would have been nice, which they're trying to do, is where they have Tuesday, Thursdays be study hall, right? But are teachers really going to listen to that? Me personally, in my advisory, we've done stuff every single day, and I have not had a single study hall period. And I think that if you're not in AVID, you shouldn't have to enforce AVID views on other people.
Well, thank you very much, Noah. Have a great day. I am here with
Salaya.
and Salaya. There have been a lot of changes going around at school. What are your thoughts on the dress code?
I would say that the dress code is kind of unfair, but I can get where they're coming from. I feel like they're limiting kids' self-expression and what they wear and how comfortable they are. But at the same time, you do got the kids who come to school thinking that like they can wear whatever they want, when that's really not the case. It's just school. There's no one here to dress up for real.
And I would like to also ask you, what are your thoughts on the phone policy?
The phone policy, kind of stupid, kind of not. I mean, like, I feel like what they should have did was, instead of locking up our phones and whatnot, they should have let us have our phones. But if they notice that we're not doing what we're supposed to, then they could take it away until we finish. But, like, I need my phone for music. So why I got to put my phone away? Because they don't put their phones away. Not really. It'd be in their pockets and whatnot. So why can't mine be in my pocket?
And finally, I would like to ask you, what are your thoughts on advisory?
End it. Advisory is 30 minutes. We literally get in there and get out. There's no time for nothing. It really should just be nap time at this point.
Do you feel like advisory benefits you as a senior?
No, this is my last year. I'm finna get up out of here.
All right, well, thank you very much, Leia.
You're very much welcome.
And now I am here with.
Yasir Alibi.
So, Yasir, there have been a lot of changes to the school.
Yep.
And I'd like to ask you about your thoughts on some of them. Is that okay with you?
All right.
So, first off, I think big thing going around is the dress code. What are your thoughts on the dress code?
I mean, the problem is we can't wear hats in school anymore. A lot of people like wearing hats, so it's a big issue.
So your big problem with the dress code is the inability to wear hats.
Hats, any headwear, any type of headwear, yeah.
And do you feel like that is restrictive of your individuality?
What do you mean by that?
Basically, your self-expression, like how you would like to dress and present yourself.
I mean, I don't mind it. It just, I've heard a lot of comments about it, so I'm just speaking of what I heard of.
Yeah. And another thing I'd like to ask you about is the phone rule that's going around school. What are your thoughts on the phone rule?
I mean, sometimes students can get distracted from their phones, but sometimes they can probably learn if they have their phones around them. So it's one or the other. It doesn't. I don't know. It's whatever at this point.
So basically what you're saying is you're pretty go with the flow with the rules. It's like, they're there, I'm going to follow them, and, you know, just whatever it is, I'm going to go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good attitude to have with a lot of things in general. So the last thing I'd like to ask you about is advisory. Do you like advisory?
I like advisory. Yeah.
Do you feel like it helps you with your organization and, well, learning other classmates and all that?
It gives me time to work on missing assignments if I have any, so that's why I like it.
Yeah, and thank you, yes, sir.
All right, you're welcome.
Have a great day, sir.
You too.
It appears that these changes are controversial to some, but not to others. So we've heard from the students what their input is. Now let's hear from some teachers.
So now I'm here with Mr. Arndt. And Mr. Arndt, what are your thoughts on the dress code?
I think it's a nice change. It's good to see kids not come to school with their hats in the summer or pajama pants at all. Those are meant for bed. But at the same time, it's not too strict. We're back to the polos. That was about a decade ago or so, where everyone had the same white or one colored polo shirt on. There's no way to show, independence, creativity from that one student based off that.
And do you think, would you prefer any changes to the dress code, or do you like the way that it is right now?
So far it looks pretty good. Hopefully we don't have to make any changes, but it's really not too strict in my opinion. It's just basic, professionalism clothing for the most part. I mean, you can still wear this kind of shirt right here, still, express yourself in your own unique way.
Yeah, and do you wish that you could wear a hat?
I'm not big on hats, too tight in my head, so no, I'm not a big hat guy.
And what are your thoughts on the no phone rule?
Really good. I'm not sure on each academy's specific rules, but I know kids are addicted. I see Shriner's on his little smartwatch thing right now. That was probably just an instinct at this point to check it every 2 seconds. It's good to see that they're away. That way you can't just unintentionally put your hand in your pocket and pull nothing out. So it's good to see.
So you feel that the no phone policy will help with students' addiction to their phone?
Hopefully get away from that addiction to their phone, being able to realize, I can function without this thing, and completely relying on this little device in my pocket that essentially runs my life.
Yeah, and the last question I would like to ask you is, what are your thoughts on advisory?
So far it's gone so good in my class. We've gone over organizational skills. I think everyone's going over the same thing every single day. But at least for freshmen who maybe come in to a new school, new building, 10 times bigger than junior high, or Tri-County, wherever, it's good to talk about ways that they can be successful for high school. That first semester freshman year is huge. You don't want to dig yourself a hole, which these 14-year-olds seem to do at times. So it's good to be able to take time every day to talk about the importance of just, so far, organization and knowing your classmates.
So beside from learning organizational skills and skills to be successful in high school, do you feel like freshmen are being taught to make new friends and learn new people in advisory?
Yeah, hopefully that helps too. Looks like it's separated by alphabetical order, but yeah, we've had a lot of activities so far where you're talking to, communicating with those new students in your class, and I think I do a pretty good job of just making them talk anyways, because they're not just going to listen to me talk the whole time. That's pretty boring. So hopefully that helps out too in just terms of overall communication. Like maybe I don't know this kid, this student right here, but now I do.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Mr. Arndt.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Aiden Probst, and I am here with...
Mr. Jeffrey.
So, Mr. Jeffrey, there have been a lot of changes recently in the school, and I'm going to ask you about a few of them. Is that okay with you?
Sure. Yes, this is great.
All right. So, what are your thoughts on the dress code?
Oh, I think it's pretty good as written now. I think it's important that the kids have some freedom with what they wear, but that they also don't just come wearing anything at all. And so, if we follow it, I think it's the right code.
All right. And would you prefer like a full-on uniform code, or do you think the dress code is good as is?
Now, I think here the dress code as is. Again, the full uniform, a little too restrictive on the kids. You know, as long as you dress nice and appropriate, have a little freedom in what you wear, express yourself.
Okay, thank you for that. And I would also like to ask you, what are your thoughts on the no phone policy?
Well, I think it's important that teachers have the ability to control whether or not students have their phone out during class. Research shows clearly that you learn or you cannot learn if you're distracted by those phones. You cannot drive your best when you're distracted by the phones. And so it's important that they get put away when we're trying to do our work, because I think even students have admitted to me that they are possibly addicted to those phones and their Donkey Kong Jr.
And do you think that the school restricting the use of phones will help with that addiction?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's just about using them appropriately. So I have a phone and I use it, but I put it away when I have work to do or when I'm in a meeting. I turn it on silent, things like that. And you really need to focus on one thing at a time. The term multitask is a bit of a misnomer. You can't multitask really difficult things and do them all well. You can do one difficult thing at a time.
Yeah. And the last thing I would like to ask you about is advisory. What are your thoughts on advisory?
So I like advisory at 30 minutes as long as we make the time productive. The AVID strategies are good, and then I like the fact that we get the administrative stuff done there, the housekeeping stuff, and do it there instead of on the C days. I didn't care for the C days. Those felt like just a wasted day in the middle of the week to me.
So what you're saying is that you feel like advisory is a good way to incorporate everything that they wanted to do in a C day?
Well said, Aiden.
Why, thank you. And it also, like what you are trying to get across is that it is a much better usage because the students still have time in the day to learn.
Yes, correct. They still have all their classes every day, and then in advisory you can kind of check in, you can check grades, you can learn some strategies, or sometimes you can just take a break and play on your phone.
Well said. Have a great day, Mr. Jeffrey.
Thanks, Aiden.
That's what a couple of our Freeport teachers think. Now, what do you think? Do you believe that the dress code is fair? Do you like or dislike the phone policy? What about advisory? These are questions to consider since your voice matters as a student. Your daily PPN.
The duck.